The following is a presentation of the St. Anthony Village Historical Society. From Pigs to People, 1945 to 1960. Recent acquisitions of family photos and stories from two families provide a perspective of life in St. Anthony at this crucial transitional point in village life. Julianne Benyo-Hertog provides the story and pictures of her maternal grandparents' distinctive home and early life since 1915 at 36th and Edward Street, before it was a street. Julianne's maternal grandparents, Andrew and Mary Skovron, were both of Slavic descent. This is Andrew in 1941, and this is Grandma Mary with her father, Vasil Kosti, on a visit to their home. This winter scene from 1939 shows the outbuildings behind the house looking east. The building in the far right is probably the home of Michael and Mary Mihalchik, who had 3 acres on Harding Street and who also had come from Czechoslovakia. This is Grandpa Skovron feeding chickens, and again we see the farm of Henry and Mary Mihalchik in the background. Grandpa Skovron dressed up and showing off his milk cow, Junie. Here, Julianne's father, Andrew Benyo, is driving the tractor with Art Lowell riding the rake in the back. This picture is looking to the east-northeast towards Silver Lake Road. Julianne's mother, Julia, lived her entire life on Edward Street. This is taken in front of the house in 1947. Andrew and Mary Skovron raised 13 children in that home, 11 of whom were born in the home. This picture of Julia with her younger sister Margaret on the right was taken in 1931. Here Julia is shown at lower left as a candidate for Miss St. Anthony in 1949. The queen selected was Bev Anderson in the middle with the roses. Julia married Andrew Benyo and moved into a new home built across the street just 4 or 5 houses away down the hill. Daughter Julianne met her husband Troy Hertog in kindergarten, reconnected in high school, married and raised their family in Lionel Lakes. Troy is the son of Ron Hertog, who was the brother of Leo and John, who operated the Hertog floral business. After incorporation, the population of St. Anthony Village grew very quickly, from 607 persons in 1940 to 1,406 in 1950, an increase of more than 130%. And then, by 1960, it had ballooned to 5,084, and an increase of an additional 260%. The Murray Hill addition, which drove the incorporation, was soon followed by many other subdivisions, as many residents abandoned farming as a way of life, and the new homes were filled with new residents seeking homes close to the downtown cities and to the industrial and academic facilities nearby, such as the Stinson-Honeywell plant and the University of Minnesota. Many of these new homes were captured in photos taken by the city in the mid-1950s, and now stored within the Historical Society archives. Within the Murray Hill edition, here are a few representative examples. First, on Murray Avenue. Here is Paul Avenue. And St. Anthony Boulevard. And further north on 34th and Roosevelt is Lemke's second edition. And just a couple of blocks east in Gardena Acres, here are several homes on Harding Street. And east of Silver Lake Road, here's some construction on Crestview. and also in Crestview Terrace, Rankin Road. While the legal use of restrictive racial covenants and deeds was overturned in Minnesota in 1955, there were several additions in the newly developing St. Anthony that included such language in their sales. This map, sourced from data of the Mapping Prejudice Project, shows that 2 additions were identified with such restrictive racial covenants. These were the Murray Heights additions 1 and 2, located south of 30th Avenue, and many Sheena addition lots located between 32nd and 33rd, from Belden Drive on the west to Silver Lake Road on the east. Concurrently with the residential development and new families came commercial development. In the late 40s, Jerry's Market on 33rd and Stinson was the local grocery. In 1952, National Tea built a store 4 blocks south on Stinson at Kenzie. The first stores in the new Pentagon commercial area south of Kenzie Terrace were Red Owl Foods, Warner Brothers Hardware, and Dairy Queen. Shortly thereafter, in 1952, other stores filled in, including Elmer Olson's Sporting Goods and Appliances, Schuler Shoes, Dell Fabrics, Whiteway Cleaners, Stingline and Associates, and Snyder Brothers Drugstore. Next in the Pentagon was a new building perpendicular to the original, which originally included Kresge's, Baskin-Robbins, Jack Kelly's Variety Store, a men's store, bookshop, a gun shop, and the St. Anthony Bank. A fire in the Whiteway Cleaners in 1956, which spread to other adjoining businesses, created a domino effect of moves. Elmer Olson's business was affected and he didn't rebuild. Jack Kelly moved into the empty slot with a new store, Kelly's Tots and Teens. Jack's brother Jerry took over Jack's old space in the other building and opened up Jerry's Toys and Hobbies. This also included a contract postal station in the back. In 1957-58, a separate Red Owl store was built on the south side of the Pentagon, and again the dominoes fell, as the bank moved into the old Red Owl and a men's store moved into the bank space. In 1957, St. Anthony annexed 3/4 section parcels of Ramsey County, directly north of 37th Avenue. The western 2/3 of this, bordering Columbia Heights, contained the major portion of Silver Lake and the Salvation Army camp on the north, and on the south, the future site of Apache Plaza. The eastern parcel became the site of mainly single-family homes on the north side of the Sioux Line tracks, and the south side of the tracks later included several large apartment sites like Diamond 8 Apartments, condominiums, Chandler Place, and the St. Anthony Health Center complex, and industrial buildings such as Burger Transfer. The northeastern quarter section in this map was largely undeveloped land, but was included and became the New Brighton portion of the St. Anthony New Brighton School District. It now contains mixed residential homes, apartments, and the large Windsor Grain townhomes development. Concurrently with the housing construction, which began in the late 1940s, other community improvements were in the works by the city and school officials and local residents. Until the mid-1950s, St. Anthony was in a common school district, number 2. In 1955, it became an independent school district, number 282. The 4-room Old White School was still operating in 1951 when these pictures of Mrs. Spencer's 4th grade were taken. In 1952, Parkview Elementary opened, and the White School was closed as a school but remained open as a resource for community organizations. Parkview was built and used as a K-6 school throughout the 1950s, with significant additions in 1954, 1956, and 1958. With these expansions, the building now included 18 classrooms, a gymnasium, lunchroom, auditorium, and offices. Junior and senior high students were enrolled in neighboring city schools such as Minneapolis Edison or Marshall or the University of Minnesota's Laboratory High School. Faith United Methodist Church relocated from northeast Minneapolis in 1955 and held services in Parkview until their new church could be built. They broke ground for their new church on Easter Sunday, 1956, and moved into the new building in 1957. Nativity Lutheran Church held its first services in Parkview in December 1956, and it moved into its new building in April of 1958. St. Charles Borromeo's Church and School, which had been established in 1938, had several major expansions during this period. In November 1946, Archbishop Murray dedicated a new convent. By 1950, the parish had grown to 2,738 members, almost twice the population of St. Anthony Village, which had 1,406 residents. This required more space. 2 wings were added at the school in 1952, and a new church was started in 1957 and dedicated in 1959. A municipal liquor business was on the docket in 1948 and 49. Capital improvements planning for sewer and water lines, water production facilities, and street construction occupied much of the time and talent of the village's first city councils. Municipal water system was approved in 1953, and outhouses were banned within 1 year of water and sewer availability. During the 1940s, fire protection was provided by the Lake Johanna Fire Department. This continued into the 1950s under the new city administration. In 1953, the village dump was operated on city land by the American Legion Post number 513. A fire in the dump spread to the nearby Kristen Farm and damaged some of the property. Several changes resulted in part from the handling of this fire. First, a fire barrier was built between the dump and Kristen's property. Next, in 1954, the council began discussions of potential use of the dump area for a playground, which is now in Central Park, and in 1955, the council first discussed the need for a volunteer fire department and a combined city hall and fire barn. They quickly moved to build it in April 1956 at Kenzie Terrace and St. Anthony Boulevard. The first fire truck was subsequently purchased in September 1956, and the first fire chief was Maurice Surface. The first serious fire faced by the new department occurred a short time later in 1956 at the St. Anthony Shopping Center, which burned in the east end of the building, damaging White Way Cleaners and the Elmer N. Olson store. Dr. Charles Kirk, whose optometry office was located in the building, said it was a baptism by fire. Through the 1940s and into the 1950s, the village had operated with part-time appointed constables, and it wasn't until March 1957 when Richard Puffer was hired as the first full-time policeman. Ed Brown, a former constable, was appointed police chief. They are seen here with the first patrol car as they responded to the report of a suicide. In the late 40s into the mid-50s, there was an active group of horse owners and the kids who grew up riding them. Connie Bubar Coleman spent her early childhood on Harding Street near 36th Street. She shared this group photo from about 48 or 49 taken in a field near the old white school. It includes Oscar Ramberg standing on the far left, and Connie, she's far right, on her pony Pee-wee, with her friend Carol Ketchum on her horse Ginger next to her on the left. Connie shared a story of how she satisfied her sweet tooth for Twinkies from Butch's convenience store at 33rd and Stinson by riding into northeast Minneapolis and selling pony rides to the kids there for a nickel a ride. Her father made me stop my pony ride business, liability worries probably, she said. This group, the St. Anthony Village Riders, rode in the Aquatennial Parade 1 year. Connie shared a story of Danny Ramberg's misadventure with Connie's pony. While attempting to show her how to mount a horse from the rear, Pee-wee kicked him square in the stomach. This did not deter Danny from pursuing his love for riding, as Danny and cousin Karen Abraham Miller Later it became the Roman riding Rambergs. Danny's father, Oscar, had 3 horses, a mare, Moon Lady, a gelding, Starfellow, and their sire, Silver Sultan. Danny learned early that standing up on a moving horse wasn't that difficult. With the flair of a showman, after seeing other rodeo acts and Roman riding pictures, he recruited his cousin, Karen Abraham Miller, 7 years younger and small for her age, to practice Roman riding with him. My dad asked me, "Do you realize the danger you put Karen in?" I talked him into letting me show him what we could do. After that, our mothers were sewing costumes for us. They got so good that they were on the road every summer for 6 years, from 1952 to 58, working at fairs and rodeos all over the country. Dan retired the rodeo act in 1959 after briefly recruiting neighbor Susan Wyckoff for a year after Karen left. This concludes this presentation of the St. Anthony Village Historical Society. Please visit our Facebook page and like us, or visit our YouTube channel, SAV Historical, and subscribe to our service. Thank you.